Oops, I think I forgot to.
Let's just say this way. It can't be quite as boring as it is.
Ah. Alrighty, Studio 7. So we had a few things on our to-do list for this studio. Where was it? Here we go. A few things on our to-do list. It looks like 5 tasks to implement here. A lot of which is related to what we were talking about in the walkthrough today. So first thing we're going to do is a little bit of validation on the registration piece. So we need to do things like check to make sure that these password and the verification match each other. That's one thing that we need to do. So let's go ahead and do that first. That's going to be part of our registration code down here. So if I come to my registration page, right, we can see. All right, under to-do number 1, we'll go ahead and do another check. And so I want to check password and verify, but I actually don't have all the information yet. I'm missing the verify piece, so I'll grab that from the form first. And now I can actually do the check. If password is not equal to verify, what do I want to do? I want to flash a message saying, passwords don't match, right? Something like that. And then, and then redirect them back, right? Just redirect them back to the register. Oops, I forgot the slash though. Redirect them back to the registration page. All right. I think we've fixed our first task. Let's go ahead and test it out and see if it works the way that we expect. Maybe? Okay, there it goes. I've got way too many tabs open. Let's see if I can clear some of this stuff out here so I can actually find the stuff that I care about. All right, so I need to log out, and then I need to go to the registration page, and then I will make a new email address so that that part doesn't fail, and then I'll make sure that these don't match, and if this code works, it should tell me that they don't match. Perfect. So that was just a few lines. We got one of our tasks finished on the registration page. The next thing that they asked you to do, we actually saw this during the walkthrough unintentionally, but we still saw it. If we try to create a user that already exists, we got that error message, right, that says, somebody already took this, which is good, it's protecting us, but the message that we got is bad. We want to show a message to the users that's going to look a little bit friendlier than that. We don't want our users to see that Python error message. So we need to check that ourselves and then display a message to the user if they have entered in something that already exists. So how do we check this? We want to validate that there's not a user with that email address already. How do we do that? I got to go back to the database. Am I recording? I am recording. Good. I don't know why. I have nightmares about that now. We got to go back to the database, and I need to look it up and see if there's already somebody in there with the email address, right? So how do I do that? db.session. What am I going to do to look up that user? I want to look them up by email. How do I do that? Filter by, yeah. Filter by. Oh, you're right. Thank you. User.filter by. That's correct, right? User.query.filter by. And then I need to specify that the email So I'm looking up the email field, that's what this left email is for, and then I'm specifying that I'm looking for whatever email is typed into the box. That's what the right email is referring to. .all. Nope, no double equals. I'm saying check the email column of the table and see if you can find whatever value was typed into the email box of the form. All right? How do I check then to see if I got anything back or not? What do I need to do? So I need some kind of a variable. Users equals that, all right? And then if I got one back, how do I check to see if I got one back or not? If it's true, if users, we can try it. If users.
Oh, if user in users?
No, I mean, let's try this. I don't know. Will it work? I don't know. Let's try it. I think there's a good chance. I think there's a good chance. So if I got something back, then what do I want to do? I want to flash. I want to say, hey, email address already used, right? Something like that. And then I'm going to send them back. Yeah. All right. Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a try. I'll try an email that I put in earlier. I'll try a password. Email address already used. It worked. It found the one that I made during the walkthrough, detected that it was there, and then told me that I already have a user by that name. Now, we should also be able to enter in a new one, right? Make sure that that still works. So if I put in a new user, that still works. That still works, right?
No, wait a minute. That was a new user?
Uh-huh.
How come it went to something that already has something?
So we haven't associated movies with users yet. That wasn't part of today's. Yeah, we'd have to do that. We'd have to make that relationship in order for that to work properly. That's a good observation though, right? If I don't have that relationship, then there's one watch list that's shared by everyone, which is probably not what we want. All right, that's the second item down. So we did this item. Now we're going to add a new route for login, and we're going to do a little bit of verification on the login as well, right? We're going to have to verify that the email and password that they typed in matches what's stored in the database to properly log in the user, correct? All right, so let's do that next. I don't have this route. It doesn't exist yet. So first thing we need to do is make it. And it's going to look similar to our registration, actually. It's going to look pretty similar to our registration. So we're going to have a GET request that displays a login form, and then a POST request for this route that will process the login form, right? So we did this during the walkthrough. We're going to go ahead and set this up as login, and then the methods will be GET and POST. Okay. Def login. All right. And it actually tells us to make this method first and then make the template. I actually would probably prefer to do it the opposite way, make the template first and then make the method personally, because it's a little difficult for me to decide how to interact with the form, especially if I don't have the form created yet. So let's take a quick detour and make the form first. It's actually going to look very similar to our register page, right? Very similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of this and copy it and then make a new file, if I can find the right place to do it. Where is my templates folder? Here it is. Make a new file called login. And I'll paste this in, and then I can just change what I need to make this work. So I'm not registering, I'm login. I don't want this to go to the register page. I want it to go to login. The email and password, it's not a new password, it's just a password now. And then the verify doesn't need to be there at all, right? And then this should say login. And I think we're good. Just made some tweaks to our registration page. I don't need to reinvent all that stuff. It's stuff that we've seen before, okay? And now we can return to our regularly scheduled program and define what we want to happen here. So I like to do the easy stuff first. If I have a GET request coming in, all I gotta do is display the form, right? That's the easy part. So if request.method equals get return render template login.html. All right. So that's the easy step. The hard part is, all right, they've filled out the form. Now I need to verify that it works. Now I need to verify that the email address and the password are going to be okay.
But you kind of have to do the same thing as like register.
Yeah, I have to do a very similar thing as what register is doing. So, I mean, we can borrow some of this code. Let's grab the email and the password from the form, because I know I'm going to need those. All right, what do I have to do next? I have to go to my database and look up the user by the email address that was provided, right? So I can do kind of the same thing here. Go to the database, filter by email, right? All right, so I think this is also the first time that we need to do a little bit of validation, correct? So I need to make sure that I found somebody. If I'm going to log you in, that user needs to exist, right? So if users will make sure that I've got a user. How do I get the actual user object, though? Because users technically is what data type? It's a list, technically. I expect for there to only be one item on that list. So how do I actually pull the user object off that list? There's probably a couple ways you could do this. I could use indexing, users at 0, right? Or dot first is also acceptable. Could have done that in the query, yeah. I could have done that on this line, because I do only expect one because I've got the validation on the registration side to prevent more than one from happening, right? There's lots of ways you could do it. This is fine though, okay? So, all right, so I've got my user object. I know the user exists if I've made it this far. What's the next thing I need to check?
You need to make sure that the password.
I gotta check the passwords. So I gotta make sure that the password that was typed into the box is the same as whatever password has been stored in the database, correct? All right. So if I've made it here then, so the user exists, the password matches, that means we're good, right? That means we're good. That means the login was successful. So what do I need to do to record the login? Session, right? Session user equals, the email. And then I can send them wherever I want them to go, probably the home page, right? All right. Now, if either one of these fails, I want to display that information as well. And you'll notice that, so we have an option here, right? I could put two separate error messages. I could put one for the password, and I could put one for the user. This is a little bit of a sidetrack, but that's actually a bad idea from a security perspective. I don't want to tell people that they got the password wrong, because that tells them that they got the email address right, and then they can sit there trying different passwords until they get the right password, right? So I'm going to flash one error that says either the username or the password is wrong. I'm not going to tell them which one they screwed up, because that's a more secure way of handling this situation. So I'm not going to make one error message here. I'm not going to make two error messages. I'm just going to make one. User, email, or password incorrect. This is another situation, right? If you ever see a website that says password was incorrect, get the heck out of there, or use a password that you don't care, or don't put any important information on it, because that's a less secure website. And so then, where do I want to send them? Back to login, yeah. Return, redirect, login. Yeah, what's up?
If the user doesn't exist.
Yep.
So, I mean, I guess it's a security breach thing, but if the password's wrong, you want to keep them on the login page, but if a username doesn't exist, would it want to tell them to register?
I suppose you could send them out to the register page if you wanted to, but I'm still not a big fan of telling. If you tell them that a user doesn't exist, you are implicitly telling them when users do exist if you show them this kind of a message, right? So it's still a security issue. At some point, so what would this look like? Actually, I've been there, and I have a feeling that maybe you have as well. I think that I have an account on this website. I'm going to try to log in, but then eventually I'm going to give up, and
Then you forgot.
I can get an email from the website maybe, or I can try to register again, right? Register and see if I can create an account, right? So eventually your users will find a way to make it happen. Yeah. So let's give this a try and see if it works. I actually already forgot my password, so I need to go back to PHP My Admin and look up what my password was. What was my password? It's kind of messed up that I'm able to just go look up what my password is, but yeah, it's a real hard one to remember too. All right, let's give it a try. I'm going to go to my login page first and foremost. Okay. What's wrong? We're looping. What's stopping me? My before request is stopping me from going to this page because I'm not logged in. I'm trying to visit a page. I'm not logged in. It's telling me I can't do it. So, all right, let's take a look at that real quick since it's, I want to test this. I really do, but I can't because my before request is getting in my way. So let's go find that and see if we can fix that up real quick.
So is that when we say like allowed routes equals?
Yeah, this is where we need a list of routes. So we need to fix this up. This was on our to-do list anyway. This is the last thing to do, right? So allowed routes equals. Now there's two pages that I'm going to allow people to go to if they're not logged in. Register and login. So I'll say register, login. We do. Thank you. Okay, and now I have to change this a little bit, right? Well, do I need a slash? There's no slash here. Yeah. So this first part's still true, right? If the user is not in the session, but now request endpoint, I'm not doing an equality here. What am I doing instead? In allowed routes. I think that do we want to send them to the register page? We could consider sending them to the login page, right, instead, so that they can log in. And they can still find their way to the registration page if they need to create an account. That's what I would typically see, right? All right, let's try it again now that we fixed that up. If I go to login, all right, cool. Let me go to the login page. Will it prevent me from going to the other pages? Let's try and go to the main page and send me to the login page. Can I go to the register page? I should be able to. So let me go to the register page. So my login wall appears to be working the way that I want it to. Now let's try to log in and make sure that the login works. So I'll type in my email address and my password and hit login. All right, we got a problem. List object has no attribute first. That sounds like a syntax problem to me. Did I accidentally some parentheses?
Yeah, the query has a method first.
Oh, the query has a method. But the list, oh, I see. Well, I could do this. I think that'll work as well. Did I properly get logged in though? I don't think I did because it wouldn't have made it this far. The error happened here. So I shouldn't be logged in. Let's see if that's in fact the case. Go back, refresh. All right, let's try to log in again and see. All right, cool. I'm logged in now. You can see it. I'm logged in. I can go to the pages, right? I can log out. Now I should be able to try some garbage here, right? And it shouldn't matter what I type in the password box. So the password's bad, but actually, well, the password's not necessarily bad. This email doesn't exist, so I would expect to see, all right, that works. What if I type in a good email address, but a bad password? It says the same error message, yeah. So that's appears to be working properly as well. And we have fully hooked up our login page for our users. I think we've got everything. Let's just double check our to-do list one last time, make sure we got it all. I think we did. I think we got it. Are there any questions?
Can I see that allowed routes?
Yeah, sure. Not a problem. Here it is, right here. Any other questions?
Yeah, memorize that.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.